Data binding in XAML technologies, including WPF, support binding to plain old CLR objects, or POCOs. These are basic classes that expose properties, and those properties can either be primitive values, such as strings, integers, datetimes, and GUIDs, or they can expose a reference to another complex type object that itself has other properties with values in it. So you can have whole object hierarchies or graphs that you data bind to in this way. Data binding does not support binding to member variables. You really shouldn't be exposing member variables publicly. They should be fully encapsulated. So the WPF framework team tried to prevent you from doing the wrong thing here and won't let you bind to your member variables. Likewise, bindings can't target methods, so you can't invoke a method through a binding. You can only call a property to get a value out of that property or to set a value in the case of two-way data binding. A lot of data binding scenarios revolve around binding to collections and presenting that data in data grids, combo boxes, list views, list boxes, and so on. The minimum bar to support data binding to collections is pretty low in .NET. It basically just has to be a proper collection in .NET, meaning it implements the IEnumerable interface. So this includes everything down to a simple array of integers or strings that you could data bind to, but it could be a more sophisticated collection, such as a list of T or a collection of T, where you have the generic type safety as well as additional features around the manipulation of that collection. So when it comes to data binding to these entities or entity collections, basically what you're going to do is set the data context to some object that exposes properties that are either entities or entity collections so that you can start binding to those. Once you've set that data context and it flows down to the elements of your view, the bindings on those elements just need to identify the path they're going to bind to. And that path is generally the property name on the data context object, or it could be a complex path because the property exposed from the top level data object may be a complex object itself. So you may need to dot your way down to something like customer.address.street to get to a discrete value to put into a property of an element. So let's take a look at a demo of some basic data binding scenarios with entities and entity collections.